Chao Lay are a nomadic people group who lived along the coast and various islands of the Andaman Sea for hundreds of years. The island of Phuket is one of the locations which has long been inhabited by the Chao Lay, especially Rawai Beach, which they have lived on since before development and the growth of tourism. The Chao Lay community gained national and global interest in the aftermath of the 2004 tsunami from the issues that arose regarding the loss of their ancestral lands. Phuket has been inhabited by the Chao Lay for a long time, with foreign visitors documenting their presence on the island more than 300 years ago. The Chao Lay who have inhabited the area around Rawai Beach for hundreds of years consists of two groups, Urak Lawoi and Moken. Today there are 5 communities of Chao Lay living on Phuket. The Rawai Chao Lay Community is located in Mu Tu Tambon Rawai, Ampere Muang, Phuket, in the province of Phuket. According to the elders in the Rawai community, in the past, Rawai used to be a quiet, peaceful community. The beach is located on a cape and is surrounded by the Ga Bay to the east, Mai Pai Bay to the west, and an island right off the coast that shields the beach from strong winds and waves. The Rawai Beach community is thus safe from monsoon winds that come from both the southwest and from the northeast. It was through their expansive knowledge of these weather patterns and understanding of geography that their ancestors chose to settle in this area. On top of that, fresh water for daily use can easily be drawn from wells in the area as well as from the Laon Canal. It is also very convenient to travel to the surrounding bays and to the other islands from here, making it the ideal place for living, abundant with various sources of sustenance. There are 2 cultural trails with numerous points of interest throughout the community relating to the culture and traditions of Chao Lay and Rawai. The first trail, which takes you from the Pier to the sacred stones, comprises of 12 points of interest. The second trail takes you from the large tamarind tree to the Lobong corner, and that too has 12 points of interest. Now let's begin our walk through the first trail. First point of interest, Rawai Landing Pier. The pier is a popular viewpoint where tourists like to come and see the whole of Rawai Beach. When you walk out along the pier and look at the shore, you will have a wide view of the beach on both sides of the pier and will see long-tailed boats moored nearby. Chao Lay children like to swim in the sea, and they enjoy climbing up onto the pier and jumping into the water. Some tourists that visit like to throw coins off the pier into the water and see the Chao Lay children dive in after them and retrieve them. Rawai Beach has been a popular tourist destination in Phuket for 50 to 60 years. At first it was familiar mainly to Thai tourists who enjoyed the nice long beach and clear seawater that you could swim in year-round because the bay is sheltered from the winds and the waves. Then about 20 years ago, the area became increasingly popular with foreign tourists. The once quiet, beautiful beach became a busy and crowded one, with entertainment venues such as beer bars springing up in many places. Second point of interest, seaside fish stalls. The seaside area is a place for rest and relaxation for the locals and the people passing through. In the old days, before there were stalls to sell fish, the Chao Lay of Rawai Beach would bring the fish that they caught and sell them or sometimes trade for rice. Later, when more and more people started coming to the village, the Urak Lawoi and Moken Chao Lay set up stalls to sell fish by the seaside by standing up 2 wooden beams and laying a stick across the top from which to hang the many different fishes which were tied together in bunches. Soon, more and more customers started coming because the fish and seafood from Rawai Beach gained a reputation for being delicious and fresh from the sea. Today, this area is filled with stalls and seafood vendors, but very few of them belong to the Rawai Beach Chao Lay. The Moken are more of hunter-gatherers than fishermen, so their stalls will be selling mostly shellfish, both with and without their shells, octopus strung up on yanang plant ropes, or tali yamiya, as well as many different beautiful seashells you can buy. Third point of interest, The beach in front of the village. Rawai Beach is a beach that gradually slopes into the sea, so the water around there isn't very deep at all. This makes it ideal for people living around there to moor their boats. The Chao Lay chose this area to live hundreds of years ago because it is a bay that is sheltered from the winds. The Chao Lay are still adept at finding food from the seashore. The area in front of their beach is where they find clams, with both children and elders able to help look for clams using spoons to dig and search through the sand. When the tide recedes, the Chao Lay are able to go out further and look for crabs, oysters, and octopus, which the Rawai call Rawai. It is speculated that the name of Rawai Beach comes from a type of fishing hook used by the locals. But it is also possible that the name comes from the word Rawai, because the beach area is where they catch their octopus, which is food for all Chao Lay groups. Others say that the name Rawai comes from the Rawai woman, whose name was Yawai. No matter where the name comes from, the fact that they have old names for different places further reinforces the history and connection that the Chao Lay have with the area, having inhabited the region for a long time. Fourth point of interest: multi-purpose hall and ancestral bones. Most Chao Lay communities will have a space in the village in which ceremonies are performed and where villagers come together to work, fix their fishing tools, make and repair their equipment, and sit and share news and information. This area is also used for recreation by the children, and on important days, it is used as the site on which traditional ceremonies are held and the Chao Lay will gather together to celebrate. These days, many Chao Lay communities are facing problems and challenges regarding land rights, and so in their communities there are less and less communal areas. Near the meeting hall, there is a small glass enclosure, and within the enclosure there is a white cloth tied in a bundle. Within the cloth are ancestral bones, which were unearthed during excavations to the western side of the community by the Office of Archaeology under the Department of Fine Arts together with the Department of Special Investigation in the year 2013. After examination, the bones were returned to the Chao Lay, where they were set up and held in reverence. These bones also serve as proof that the Chao Lay have been living on this beach for a long time and have effectively been using the area around the Rawai Beach. Fifth point of interest: the large tamarind tree. The tamarind tree has a large plank seating under it, where Chao Lay community members and passers-by like to sit and nap on. In the past, the homes of the Chao Lay were built on the beach, and there was plenty of open space to sit and rest, to build and repair fishing equipment, and for the children to run and play. On moonlit nights, the Chao Lay would often come together to sit on the beach, play their tambourines, and tell stories. The Rawai community today currently lives in crowded and confined spaces, and so the Chao Lay like to come outside and socialize, eat their meals on the beach, and relax and rest when the sun is past its peak. You will see that along the beach there are large wooden seatings to sit comfortably on. This area also serves as meeting place for the village. Sixth point of interest: fishing trap building site. We might not be able to imagine what this area looked like in the past, but the big tamarind tree and palm trees and other trees that remain give us an idea of what it may have looked like in its natural state when the area was still a forest. The Chao Lay elders say that in addition to having large trees, this area was also home to many different animals such as fishing cats, slow lorises, mouse deer, and various different kinds of snakes including cobras. During the rainy season, this area was very wet, and in some places that got waterlogged, you could find different kinds of fish, catfish, eels, and even leeches. The flood waters even reached the underneath of some houses, so some Chao Lay fished in the shallow waters using earthworms as bait. At night you can hear the sounds of toads and bullfrogs croaking all around. Chao Lay also used this area as a pathway to get to the shrine. The area around the shrine is used for performing ceremonies, an important one being the annual boat floating ceremony. They also pull up their boats here for repairs and filling the cracks in the hull with resin. Along with repairing boats, this area is used for making and fixing fishing equipment, especially traps used for catching different kinds of fish and sea creatures. The area along the beach is also used for cleaning, drying, and grilling fish and other seafood. 7th point of interest: Shrine or Balai. The shrine of the Rawai community is called Balai in the local Urak Lawoi language, or sometimes it's also referred as La To. La is a southern dialect word derived from the word Sala, which means pavilion or shrine, and To comes from the word Dato, which means great, elder, or sacred. The Chao Lay set up the Balai in an area next to the beach. If we draw a straight line from the shrine to the sea, we will encounter the sacred site where To Mila, or the Great Red Spirit, resides. 8th point of interest: Laon Canal. Before reaching the headland, there is a small canal called Laon, known to the Orok Lawoi as Sungai Balai or Sungai Nibok, which translated into Thai means Laon tree or Lao Chaon in the Aracaceae family. The wood of the Laon tree can be used for many different purposes. It can be used as floor for the houses or as beams because it is strong and durable. But it is not suitable to be used as a pillars because the center of the tree is hollow. These days, there are no more Laon trees left in the area. In the past, Chao Lay used this canal to moor their boats to avoid strong winds and waves. Chao Lay children still come to bathe in the canal, and others come to wash their clothes, beating them against the rocks or digging in the sand to make a natural wash basin. The sandy bank along the canal is still used as a place to bury infants that have passed away, since the Urok Lawoi believe that burying an infant in the cemetery or near their homes will draw the spirit or ghost that is evil. 9th point of interest: two wells named Kwai and Chang. If you walk into this area, you will see that the ground here is smooth and packed. This area was once roamed by buffaloes, and so a well here was named by the Urok Lawoi as Taka Kabao, or Buffalo Well. Back then, there was no fence between where the community resides and this area. The Chao Lay would come and use this area, especially the beach area. Now, the Buffalo Well has been filled in. If you go a little further, you will see the well named Chang, not far from the Laon Canal. This well is still in use by the Chao Lay to this day. The water is used for both drinking and bathing, but it is uncertain how much longer this water source will last. Fresh water is very important to the Chao Lay, and you can see how the location of a water source is an important factor in determining where the village and community are established. 10th point of interest: rice terraces and paddy fields. Many people understand that the Urok Lawoi gather all their food only from the ocean, but the Chao Lay also have a history of planting wild rice. They plant rice in both terrace fields and paddy fields. The rice paddies, or padi banak, are flooded areas that the Urok Lawoi use to plant rice. Traditionally, field work for the most part was done by the women. An old picture, taken at Rawai Beach by a foreigner, depicts a couple Chao Lay women pounding rice and shows how rice was and is an essential part of life for the Rawai Beach Chao Lay. When you compare the mortars used in the photo to the ones they still have today, you will see that they are very similar. There are many different sizes made to suit women, children, and men. 11th point of interest: beach and sea near the headland. This area is known to the Chao Lay as Tanyok Denak. The inner sea and the area around the coral reef is a source of food for the Chao Lay. Here the elders and the children will catch and collect crabs, sea cucumbers, seashells, and octopus. The water here isn't very deep, and so the children like to come and play in the water because it is protected from the big waves. The Chao Lay also use the sea around here for other purposes, such as erecting fork stakes in the sea to soak the rattans in seawater, so that it will be softened and easy to bend. 12th point of interest, the sacred stones. Many different place names around Rawai come from the Urak Lawai language, such as the islands, the bays, the beaches, the capes, and the stones. Examples of these are Hay Island, known to tourists as Coral Island, or Pulau Lael, Bon Island, or Pulau Babi, Kaoyai Island, or Pulau Banat, and Promtep Cape, or Tanyok Dato. Apart from these islands, several rock areas have names like the one in the sea in front of the balai. The Urak Lawai believe that it is the sacred area of Tok Mila, who used to be the great ruler with royal guards. One of the guards is Tok Kundan, the crocodile who usually rests in the rock area here. Chao Lay occasionally placed red flags here as an offering to communicate with the sacred after the wish is granted or to seek protection. The trail ends here. We hope you learned a short history of the community as well as the current situations faced by the indigenous Urak Lawai and Moken people. Let's think about sustainable development and how no one should be left behind in our present global agenda. Perhaps Thailand, particularly Phuket, needs to think of an alternative path to development that is inclusive enough to count Chao Lay as partners in such development.